Hey, hey, so what's the news, Miss Muse?
Miss Muse?
Well, does a muse have a proper form of address? I just want to hear what exciting adventures you've been having.
Well, I went to a party held by the goddess of love, and she died.
Man, I always miss the really good parties. Here I was, sitting at home, just reading a book. Everything else okay, though? Do we know who the killer is yet?
Not just yet, no.
Okay, well, let me know if there's anything I can do. If I have to hustle to become your high priestess, well, so be it.
What are Kaz and Brian up to? You didn't tell them anything, did you?
No, I told them you came home, that you're okay, but that you're having a moment. They send their love.
Should we tell them, do you think?
What for? They have their own problems. Plus, Brian can't keep a secret to save his life, and Kaz is officially homeless.
Is he still crashing on Brian's couch?
Grace, you do know that Brian doesn't have a couch, right? Just some giant beanbag things?
Then where is Kaz
Yeah, it's cute. They'll tell us when they're ready. But right now, it's best just to not mix them up in this.
I should really apologize about the band. This kind of puts a dent in your plans, doesn't it?
You're right, Grace. How dare you sabotage my dreams? I am so mad I could spit.
You know what I mean. Nobody could have seen this coming, sure, but it's always been something with me.
Well, as I see it, there are two ways this goes down. One, neither of us gets back to the band. It was just a thing we did for a while before I founded a cult in your name. Or two, we get back to it and the band now has the Muse as its lead singer. Edge of Elysium becomes the coolest and most appropriate band name ever.
Ugh, I still really hate that name.
Look, Grace, you can't be the source of all the drama and name the band, okay? That's the rule.
You know what I find weird? That the idols have managed to remain completely secret all these years. Sure, they have magic and whatnot, but in all this time, nobody's found them out? Athena is that good?
Who says nobody has found them out? The way I see it, it's like UFOs.
Okay, I have to hear this.
Okay, so you could have real evidence that UFOs exist and that governments have covered it up and people still wouldn't believe it. Why? Because they'd get laughed at if they admitted it. Imagine the headline. Greek gods exist and are living among us. What website would even run that?
Weird conspiracy ones. Yeah, you're right. Exactly how much do you know about the Greek gods, Freddy?
I know my Greek mythology, but what I've read clearly doesn't line up with who they are today. Or who they ever were. Maybe.
Still might be useful. There's gotta be some truth to those stories, right?
Maybe? Who do you want to hear about?
What about Apollo?
Okay, so the prophecy stuff checks out. Apollo was god of the sun and light, but also kind of enlightenment in general. He's always talked about as this beautiful and cultured god involved with the arts and the muses, kind of a Renaissance man before the Renaissance.
He's clearly had a rough time since those days.
Well, he was also a giant horn dog, Grace. I can list off like a dozen men and women Apollo has had as lovers, and there's probably more.
Weren't they all like that, though?
I mean, Apollo's no Zeus. He never assaulted anyone as a swan. And no, they aren't all like that. Our sun god had a reputation.
Do you know anything about the Muses? Or Calliope in particular?
Yeah, for starters, there were supposed to be 9. Though I guess there are some sources that said there were only 4, maybe 3. Each of the muses had her specialty. Did you know that Calliope is supposed to be the muse of epic poetry? She inspired the Odyssey.
Wow. I don't even like poetry.
Yeah, it was said her singing voice was unmatched. So they got that part right, at least.
Did she also lead the ancient Greeks in giant choreographed dance numbers?
No, but she once turned a bunch of snobby princesses into magpies, so there's that.
about Athena? Is she really supposed to be the goddess of wisdom?
Sure, but mostly that's meant as tactical knowledge. Athena wasn't all sweetness and light. She was a warrior goddess. She was also the goddess of heroes. There are loads of stories where Athena helps guys like Odysseus or Jason or Perseus.
No female heroes back in those days?
Yeah, guess not. Women were the weaker sex, which maybe is why Athena was portrayed as being vindictive. She cursed Medusa, one of her own priestesses. She turned people into spiders, struck them blind, started the Trojan War. It's the whole thing.
Not being as wise as advertised is on brand for her, then. Tell me what you know about Persephone.
Honestly, she's the least like her stories. Usually, she's either a victim or just the wife of Hades, or both.
And that's it? She was kidnapped by Hades, end of story?
Pretty much. Her mother was so angry she created winter. But otherwise, Persephone was just your average sweet and virginal fertility goddess.
You're right, that doesn't sound like her at all.
Must be hard to be defined by this one thing that happened to you thousands of years ago. I'd be pissed if everyone thought my story ended there.
Well, she is pretty pissed. That much is true. You said Pan was some kind of lust god, right?
Yeah, kind of. Pan's a god of the wild, and I guess that translates into sort of lustfulness and earthiness, humping nymphs in the forest sort of thing.
And you don't like him?
Honestly, he's exactly what I'd expect him to be. All the stories say he's a lech and a beast. The Christians equated him with the devil. Weirdly, he's also the only god who's supposed to have died, though it's never really clear how or why. Anyhow, there's a great statue depicting Pan having sex with a goat. Next time you see him, you gotta ask him about it.
Just how many of these gods are there? From what I've heard, lots of idols live around here.
Well, there are tons of minor gods in Greek mythology, hundreds even, depending on how you define them. Oddly, there's never any mention of the word idols in relation to them. Maybe it's like how people worshipped idols?
I sort of assumed it was related to the eidolon.
Which is a Greek word, but I think it means ghost. An image of someone after they die.
Makes sense.
Me? I'm more amazed at all the big names missing. Not just Zeus and Hades, most of the Olympians seem to be gone. Makes you think about what's been lost. But also, what might still be out there.
You think there might be other gods out there?
Well, there are all those gods the idols say wandered off. We don't know they're dead for sure, right? They could be living it up in Australia. Who would know? Then there are all the other mythologies, hundreds of cultures, each with their own pantheon. So what's so special about the Greeks? That only their gods are real, right? All those other pantheons could be living in secrecy, just like the idols. And that means they're hidden from each other, too. Oh, they could be everywhere and no one would know.
It's like a whole other secret side to the world.
Yeah, it's cool, right? I hope I get to meet Ganesha one day. Or maybe Lakshmi?
I wonder how much of those stories are true.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I'm giving you the quick version. There are reams of textbooks out there covering all this, but even they rarely agree with each other.
Really? Nothing definitive?
Ancient Greece was 3,000 years ago, Grace. Not much information survived all that time, if it was even valid to begin with.
Okay, that's enough questions for now.
You sure? I can talk all day. You know I can.
I'll check back with you soon, Freddy. Time for more mystery solving.
I'd say hello, Grace, but I'm afraid that look on your face might be catching.
What is this place?
It's a garden, darling. Surely even mortals have them.
This building. All those people I pass getting up here. Are they all idols?
Oh, at least some of them. Welcome to Olympus, dear Grace. Our home hidden away in plain sight. Marvelous, isn't it?
I've passed this part of the city 100 times. I've never seen this building. Was it always here, or...?
Our Lady Hecate provides glamours that allow certain things to go unseen, such as my glorious horns. Olympus is the same. Those invited see it. Those who aren't see exactly what they expect. It's not anywhere as grand as in the old country, but it serves its purpose.
I don't know, Pan. Olympus seems pretty grand to me.
As if mortals would know any better. This isn't the first time you've been here. I'm sure Hermes took you to Athena's dreary office.
That's here? Huh.
Good one, that Hermes. Almost as dull-witted as the original, but biddable.
How many idols are there? I've met, what, less than 12?
Oh, I don't know, 20, 30. Our numbers have dwindled so much I've stopped keeping track.
I didn't know there were that many gods.
We're not all equally legendary, it's true. Some idols were barely worshipped, others not at all. Indeed, not all of us are idols. Some are merely immortal. Hangers-on, if you will. You'll meet them all, given time.
Idols live here? I mean, Calliope didn't, obviously. Apollo doesn't either.
One must have special dispensation from Our Lady of Wisdom, Athena, before they can take up a private dung heap like Apollo's.
Am I gonna have to give him my apartment?
That's rather putting the cart before the horse, darling. First, you must outlive the week.
Right. Good point. You asked me to meet you here?
I did. As I recall, you owe me a favor that I now wish to collect, if you'd be so kind.
Figured as much. Apollo was right about you.
Dear, sweet, suspicious Apollo. Boring Apollo. What have I ever done to you? Here's the thing. A friend has begged for my help, and you're far better suited than I to offer what he requires. I'll give you a key to reach the reliquary where he resides. You help him, and then we're even. If that's not enough incentive, the reliquary is also where you'll find the lovely Hecate. A sorceress of her power could aid your quest. What do you say?
This Hecate, do you think she could help me?
If she's of a mind. She is the goddess of dark magic, the creator of all our marvelous glamours. If anyone can help you, it is she.
And if she's not of a mind?
Then she won't help you. Grace, that part is up to you. I can't be expected to do everything, can I?
This person I'm to help, what does he want? And why can't you do it?
Well, Grace, there are some things you're better equipped to handle than I. This, as I understand it, is a delicate matter of the heart. One that requires a muse's hand.
A matter of the heart.
What, did you think I was sending you to rough someone up? Set something aflame? Don't be absurd. The man has an issue with his love life. Even if you can't help him, I'll treat the effort as worth the favor.
So that's it? Fix up someone's love life? Nothing trickier than that?
Oh, the way you talk, Grace. It makes me blush.
Well, it's just that...
I trade in willing favors, Grace. If I didn't, no one would want to do as I ask, and then where would I be? I may seem untrustworthy, but allow me to reassure you. If I wish you harm, you will walk into that harm knowingly and with open arms.
That's exactly what someone untrustworthy would say.
It will not take you long to learn, dear Grace, that among the idols there are fewer truth-tellers than there are liars. Truths can be hard, after all. But deception? Deception is as boring as it is simple.
What is this reliquary? Doesn't that have something to do with the bones of saints or something?
Not those relics. Our relics. The relics of ancient gods. Magical treasures collected over thousands of years. Books, mainly. We store them in a faraway place so no one unsavory can get their hands on them.
Unsavory like you?
Unsavory like most. Athena has decreed that these relics are not to be used by any save Hecate and herself. A rather dull waste of so much amassed knowledge and power, but who am I to judge? I'm not leader of the chorus.
If these relics are off limits, does that mean they're dangerous?
Some, but I'm not asking you to chase after any of that nonsense. In fact, I'd advise against it.
But what if one of those relics could help me?
My, such an adventurer you are. It's possible, but ask Hecate first. She, and I mean this with complete and uncharacteristic seriousness, is not an idol you or anyone wishes to cross.
I'll think about it, but no promises.
Marvelous. The gentleman you seek is named Asterion. Lovely fellow, quite harmless. Now, if there's nothing else you need.
What, no offer to dance this time?
Would you, if I asked?
I wouldn't say no to a bit of fun.
A marvelous attitude. You'll go far with that. Now, if there's nothing else you need.
That depends. What can you tell me about Medusa?
That is a rather peculiar subject change.
Her name came up at Aphrodite's party. I'd like to look into it.
You'll find Medusa at a dingy little club appropriately named the Viper's Nest. Give her my regards. Do tell me you'll be careful if you go there, Grace. Medusa is a hideous creature and should be treated as such.
Okay, I give up. How does one treat a hideous creature?
With a great deal of respect, if you know what's good for you. I'll send a package to your domicile that contains directions and the key you'll need to reach the reliquary.
I said no promises.
Well, if you decide to go, Grace, you'll still need all those things. Say hello to darling Hecate on my behalf, will you?
Hello again.
Hello yourself.
Ugh, get a room, both of you.
I want to thank you for the other day, Grace. I won't forget our walk anytime soon.
I should hope not.
Is there, something you came to talk about?
No, that's okay. I'll see you later, Apollo.